Hey everyone, um, I'm making this video basically to share my story and basically spread awareness. So, as many of you may or may not know, today marks year 2 that I have lost my son. Today, October 4th, he was born and then suddenly taken away from me. Basically, just to give you some background, as May of 2017, me and my boyfriend found out that I was pregnant. It was pretty exciting but also scary because I was 18 at the time when I found out. He was, I think he had just turned 20, and I was going through school, he was going through school trying to figure out his life and everything, and we were just like trying to figure out like, oh my god, like we're about to have this life and take care of this life, but we have to get our lives together basically. So it was kind of like a stressful situation once we found out, but we knew for a fact like we had to get our stuff together, we had to get stuff done to be able to take care of this child. And so I was living on campus at Rowan at the time, so and it was like obviously the summertime, so I wasn't on campus at the time, but I immediately knew that I have to be closer to home, like that's probably the best option for me. So I transferred. We began to basically change our lives immediately, and we basically started taking the steps and precautions that we needed to take. As months went on, I would get my ultrasound done. Everything was good. Everything was healthy. But then eventually, I believe it was the last week of September, we went to go get the ultrasound to find out the sex. But we were doing a gender reveal, so we basically didn't want to know the sex at the time. And so as I'm getting the ultrasound done, the nurse were basically like trying to she had this look on her face like something was wrong, but she said that she couldn't tell us because the doctor has to come and tell us. So basically the doctor came in and he told us that my cervix is small. I didn't really know what that meant at the time. I had no idea what that meant. So I'm like, well, what does that mean? And basically, when your cervix is small, the bigger that the baby gets and grows, the more pressure that you're putting onto your cervix. So since my cervix was small, it's more likely that my cervix will open sooner, which means obviously I'll give birth faster, not faster, but earlier than supposed to. So he went over 2 options with me. Basically, I could have my cervix surgically shut for the time being, or he gave me these little pills that I can take and just put up there, and he said that that probably was the best option because surgery is not that much different than the pills. So I'm like, okay, cool. So he also gave me a list of signs to look for, basically for early contractions and basically birth and stuff like that, early birth, whatever. And that was about a week before everything happened. And I wasn't nervous when he told me that. I wasn't worried. Because I knew that if I just took the pills that he told me to take, and I'll be good. So I was basically doing everything the way I normally would. I took the pills when I was supposed to. I would go to class. I would, do everything daily. So it wasn't until October 3rd. I remember I had just got home. I had dropped my mom off to the laundromat, and my boyfriend was at work at the time, so I was home by myself, and I went to use the bathroom, and I had took a poop. That might be a little whatever, but I had took a poop, and once I got out the bathroom, like I immediately got like these sharp pains, and oh my god, I didn't think I would get emotional. That's crazy. But yeah, so I immediately got these sharp pains, and I immediately knew like what was happening, but I didn't want to believe what was happening because like I said, the doctor had given me a list of things, signs to look out for, and I just sat there. I couldn't even stand up. Like, it was hurting so bad. And wow. So yeah, so it kept going on for about maybe, I don't know, like 5 minutes. I wanted to wait and see, like, you know, maybe the pains would go away. And yeah, so eventually it kept going. It was persistent, and I called my boyfriend. I'm like, well, I'm having these pains, like I'm not sure what I should do. And he told me, like, you know, just call the doctor, call your OBG or whatever, see what he says. So I immediately called the office, and they basically just told me to go to the hospital, and you know, they'll see what's going on. So I called my mother, and I called everybody because I was so scared. And I just, it was so crazy. Like, I was feeling these pains, and I didn't want to believe, like, you know, like, am I really having contractions right now? Mind you, just to put in perspective, I was 21 weeks. So I was only 5 months. And my mom, well, my parents basically suggested that we get into an ambulance because the hospital had to go too far, and then it was during rush hours. So I got into it. The paramedics came, made me feel worse because it's like, damn, this really happening. And the guy was basically telling me, like, well, once I got in the thing, he was just trying to keep me calm, and he told me that, you know, his wife had early contractions, but, you know, they went away and everything was fine, and, you know, so he was giving me hope. And I get to the hospital, and they don't take me to the emergency room. They take me to, like, the pregnancy unit or whatever the case may be. And I'm checking in. Mind you, I'm in this excruciating pain. Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm not sure what time I got there. It had to be around like maybe 6 or so. So yeah, so I'm checking in, I'm waiting, and then it had to be about maybe 30 minutes go by. I'm still not being seen. I haven't been put in a room, and I'm just over here. I couldn't stand up, I couldn't sit down, I couldn't do anything. Like, the pain was ridiculous. And my parents get there, and they're trying to figure out, like, what's taking them so long for them to find a room for me. And they're saying, like, oh, you know, we don't have any rooms, we don't have any available space. And my dad was basically saying, like, yo, like, she's over here having contractions, she might be having a miscarriage, like, you need to, let's go. Like, it wasn't until about maybe an hour later, and I remember I went to the bathroom, and my mom helped me go to the bathroom, and she saw basically the mucus plug come out. And she didn't know what it was at the time, but she knew, like, that probably wasn't a good sign or whatever. And then maybe once she told the nurses that was, you know, sitting out in that area, that it had to be about another 15 minutes that they came, that they called me in the room, and they did an examination, and that's when they seen that I was dilated, and basically I was in labor, basically. And I'm like in my head, I'm like, is this really happening? Like, this is crazy. Like, and I'm like, well, and I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, well, it's not that bad, because, you know, people have babies early all the time, and he could be the one that, you know, survives. So I was trying to keep up hope, and I was trying to, you know, think, like, you know, this isn't going to happen, like everything's going to be okay. But then like some of the nurses they have really weird energy. They were like, oh well, you wouldn't want to keep the baby anyway because he's so small, and you know, we'll have all these things hooked up to him, and you know, you don't want to do that. And I'm like, I don't care, what the hell, like that's my child, like of course I'm like, I don't know, that just blew my mind. Like I couldn't believe a nurse would say something like that. But anyways, the doctor came in and basically told me, like, you know, there was nothing that they can do, you know, it was too far along, they'll wait it out, and long story short, like in the middle of the night, I gave birth to him. It was a boy. My sister actually knew the sex because she was in control of like the gender reveal and stuff like that. And you know, she told us the day that we were in there in the hospital, and you know, everyone was like excited and stuff like that, because on my side we don't have a lot of boys. I mean, on my boyfriend's side, yeah, and of course they was excited because they have a lot of boys. So yeah, and we named him Novin. And yeah, so today makes the second year that, you know, he was born. Well, not born, but that he was birthed and taken away from me. And I didn't really expect to cry, because usually when I talk about it I don't cry, so I don't know why I'm crying now. But I just wanted to share my story because I know that it's probably a lot of females out here that experience the same thing or something similar, and I just want those females to know that it's okay. And eventually, you know, you do figure it out and you do know how to get through it, because when it first happened, I swear I didn't understand, you know, why it happened to me, or you know, why it had to be me. But I looked at it and I'm like, everything happens for a reason. At the time that it happened, my family was like pretty separated. Like a lot of people weren't talking to a lot of people, but that day everyone came together. So it definitely was for a reason, and I'm glad that I got to experience him for the moment that I did. So yeah, and also I just wanted to also tell, like, you know, a lot of doctors and just the healthcare industry in general, you know, they don't take us Black females serious, and you know, we have to go that extra mile to make sure that we're getting the best treatment that we can. You know, if I feel like, you know, this situation could have been prevented if, you know, if it wasn't negligence against the hospital. If they would have, you know, took me in right when I came in, you know, maybe they could have stopped the contractions. Maybe, you know, they could have figured something out. But, you know, they don't really care about they don't take us serious like most people. So we have to really basically, you know, make sure that they see that we, like, it's not fair, like, you know what I'm saying? So that's my story, and if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, because I'm pretty open about the situation. Many people probably think like, oh, why is she sharing that, whatever. I'm all about sharing stories and experiences, because with you going through, somebody probably went through, and you know, it's always good to have someone, you know, that knows what you go through or experience or whatever. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and all right, bye.